Today on the DML News Podcast, you asked questions about the status of America around the world, different things that need to be answered. You asked me, and I'm going to give you the answers. And it's all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. Denny's out, Ryan's on the controls, and you are in the powerful seat of asking the questions. That's the way things should be. People who are leading the country, people who are running the media, they should be listening to the people of the United States. Nobody does. Instead, it's the other way around. The politicians and the media tell you what you need to know instead of asking you what it is that you want to know. We do it differently here. We're proud of that. We're a family-based business, and we appreciate the input and the time that you take to spend with us, and we try to give back to you by giving you any of the knowledge that we have in any kind of shape, way, or form, whether it's the written word on my kids. I call them kids. They're all adults. My oldest son is 28 years old. 28 years old. I had a house. I had 2 kids already. So my sons run True.News. It is an amazing news site. It basically replaced the site that I had been running for more than a decade just because I have so many things on my plate. Now they do it. They do it better. And I invite you to go to True.News all the time. Or the best way you could do it is that you just download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. It is completely for free. The news feed on there goes directly into True News, True.News. That's what it is. No .com, True.News. So it's fantastic and you'll love it. Or if you're listening to these podcasts, remember you could always become a member of Team DML. We don't give the full show to those people on Facebook because sometimes, like you'll see today, I'll be asked questions. I can't give the answers on Facebook or YouTube because they don't like what I have to say. So the first half of the show is for free. The second half of the show, if you want to watch the video, you got to be a member of Team DML. It's how we make our money. It's how it is that we stay in business. You don't become members, we're fading away. We're going to do something else. Maybe Ryan wants to open up a restaurant or something like that. But for as long as we keep on having members, we're going to keep coming back. TeamDML.com. You can become a member for as low as $2.50 per month. We have programs where it's more than that. You get free CBD products and things of that nature. You want to check it out. If you do have the DML News app, you can get there from the Interact button, which is the 5th tab at the top, Team DML membership. Check that out. Also, lastly, last Monday night, we launched, Tuesday morning. We announced it Monday night. We launched the Great American Newsletter, which you can access from greatagain.squarespace.com. That's our temporary URL until we get our official one, which is greatamerican.news. But we don't get that until next week because we bought it from auction and we have to wait for 2 weeks for us to get it. It's kind of crazy. But until then, you just go to greatagain.newsletter.com. Once you sign up, you don't have to ever worry about returning to the site again. Every morning around 6 a.m. in your inbox, you will have the Great American Newsletter. It is sensational. People loving it. By the thousands, people are lining up, and it's some of the greatest work I've ever done. So please go and register for that now. greatagain.squarespace.com. All right. Now, I ask people to give me questions. We do this once a week. It's Ask DML. Today, we're running it on Monday. Ask DML. Here are some of the questions I got. We're going to start off with Sam Brennan. Sam Brennan asks the following question. If Trump somehow does not win the election, or God forbid, he's taken out before then, what's left? By that, I mean, will there truly be a movement of some kind for states like Florida to secede? Sam, it's a fantastic question. Let me answer it in multiple parts. First of all, Donald J. Trump is not going to lose. There's a thing called manifestation. I believe in it in a huge way. I tell this story all the time. The first time I met my wife, Mary, we were in 9th grade. I went home. I told my mother I was going to marry her. She told me I was out of my mind. I was crazy to focus on school. And I just always said to myself, this is the girl I want to marry. I'm going to marry her. I'm going to marry her. Well, guess what? We're 55 years old this summer. We've got 4 kids. We've been married. And I love her to the end of the world and back. I manifested it. Another time, when I first started off at Fox News, Sean Hannity would never put me on his show. And I was told by management it was because Sean at the time was the big border guy, and here came DML, and he didn't want to share the seat with me, so to say. He wanted to be the border guy at Fox News. Well, lo and behold, I got on every show but his. And when I was making They Come to America 2, and I was traveling through Texas by myself, traveling in my Jeep, I had just filmed the southern border in Texas, and then I was going to do the southern border in Arizona. And when you're on Interstate 10 by yourself with nothing but a big blue sky, you start to just let your mind run wild. And what I started to envision was Sean Hannity putting me on his show for my second film on immigration, but not only putting me on, I wanted a 1-hour special. That was something that Sean only did a few times a year. Why would I even think I would ever get that? Who knows? But I thought it, and I envisioned it, and I manifested it. And 3 weeks later, without any solicitation to him at all, my phone rang. It was Fox News. Sean Hannity wanted to give me a full hour on my new film. Reason why I tell those two stories is because it's prevalent. We need to manifest Donald J. Trump winning. I know right now it seems like everything is against us. We've got these radical kangaroo courts. He's back there again today with that scum Michael Cohen lying out of his teeth. You've got a jury filled with, recent immigrants to this country and raging liberals who listen to the New York Times and get their news from CNN. And I know everything seems like it's stacked against us, including the prosecutor who is part of Biden's DOJ. But at the end of the day, the truth always comes to the top. It always rises to the top. And so we have to realize that the most brightest parts of our life usually come after the greatest moments of darkness. And right now, this country is in a moment of extreme darkness between the lies and the deceit and the biases that we see everywhere, whether it's in the media, whether it's in Washington, D.C., no matter where it is, we are getting crushed day in and day out as Americans. You're getting crushed in your wallet. You're getting crushed at the border. You're getting crushed with healthcare, lack thereof that there is. We're getting crushed overseas. We've got China working with Russia, working with Iran, working with North Korea. Canada to our north is completely radical. Everything looks as if it's dropping out. Radical schools. The nuclear family is breaking apart. But at the end of the day, we keep on waking up every morning and believing that the next day is going to get better. And so we have to manifest it. We have to believe that through all these horrible, ugly things will come the bright spot. And that bright spot will be that Donald J. Trump will not be convicted. He will win the election. And he will get back into that White House and not only clean up the mess that Joe Biden and Barack Obama have created, but he will make America great again by doing the things that you know and I know need to be done. He will set the precedent, and then the next person who comes in who gets 8 years, that president will take that precedent, and they'll make America even stronger again. And who knows, we could get so lucky that for the next 20 years, we would be able to undo everything that Barack Obama did for 8 and that Joe Biden did for 4, and we will set this country back on a trajectory, and this will all feel like a mighty nightmare. So that's my answer to you, Sam. I'm only going to talk to you about the bright spot. I am not going to talk about what happens if crap hits the fan, because it's not going to hit the fan. We are in the worst spot right now, and we are going to get better. And the more you believe that, Sam, the better off it's going to be. I appreciate your question. And as always, thank you for checking in and being a part of Team DML. What are your thoughts on candidate Mr. Kennedy? That comes in from Melissa Imbrononon. I think I said that wrong. Look, very, very, very short answer here. I think nothing of him. If you were to strip his feelings about the vaccine and how it is that vaccines can be damaging, if you strip the things that he has said about Fauci and about how it is that the WHO and all world efforts were acting during COVID, you wouldn't like him if you're a conservative. This is a man who comes from a heavily Democrat family, a heavy Democrat state. He has been a Democrat his entire life. He has only switched over to independent because the Democrat Party would not allow him in to debate against Joe Biden. He'd wipe the floor of him. So he's become an independent simply because that was the only route he could take. I don't think anything of him when it comes from a political standpoint. From an American standpoint, I think he's wonderful that he hasn't given up and he's going to go for it in a third channel. I think this nation needs a third party desperately, and it's going to be people like Kennedy that may actually blaze that trail. That's the trail this country needs. We need to have a third option. Right now, you've got the left, you've got the right, and sometimes, many times, you got to hold your nose. A third option would not only make all of us more comfortable, but it would create a system to where more people who are great at what they do and would be great as leaders can emerge. But if you're not rubbing elbows, and this is a perfect example, is Kennedy, if you're not rubbing elbows with the people who are at the top, the people with the power, the elitists and the establishment, you really have no chance whatsoever to ever be the nominee for your party. Trump is an anomaly. Barack Obama checked a whole bunch of boxes. That's why he was there. But look at Joe Biden. His whole life, he tried to become the president of the United States. It was his turn in line, just like it was Hillary Clinton before him, just like it was Al Gore before that. They do this in the fact that, it's your turn, and that's how you get anointed. And that is wrong. So if we had a third party, it would put more pressure on the other parties to pick their best candidate versus the one who's up next, so to say. Trump, in all of his glory and with all of his determination, was able to break through that. And even though he broke through it, think about how many people hate him. Think about how many people in his own party go against him, and that's because he basically destroyed the deep state. He destroyed the establishment in the sense that he shined a light on them, and they don't want to have the light shined on them. They want to shine the lights. So Trump has made the entire thing flip upside down on its head. That's why they hate him. That's why we love him. And if we could get through this horrible time of darkness, I'm telling you, we're going to be in a better spot. And hopefully, one of these days, we will indeed have an official third party. Fantastic question. Okay, next question. Has anything been put in place to help ensure the integrity of the 2024 election, or could it end up just like 2020? And that comes in from Patrick Stephen Westcott. You know, Patrick, I take this from two different levels. I take it from the level of really bad, and I take it from the level of really good. So let's start on the level of really bad. What scares the living daylights out of me is that I don't hear enough coming out of the RNC or the GOP about actions that are being taken. Now, why that scares me that we don't hear it is because I would imagine there are certain actions that have to be taken early on in order for them to be in place in time for the general election come November. And that's just on pulling the lever. What kind of things do we need to know? Well, there has been a lot of speculation, we'll use fancy words, that there were bad actors who went into the servers and changed the votes in 2020. Whether it was done via the internet or people going in with a little flash card and sticking them in, a lot of people, some of them experts, have made fantastic arguments to raise eyebrows. However, the Democrats and the courts, all paid for by George Soros, as far as I'm concerned, turned a blind eye to this. So question being to Lara Trump, question being to Donald Trump, question being to Speaker Johnson, what are we doing to prevent the accessing of these servers? What are we doing to prevent people sticking in these flash drives and softwares that can change votes? I don't hear them saying anything. Number two problem we have is obviously with these mail-in ballots and the ballot harvesting, especially in places where it is not legal. In other places where it is legal, are the Republicans doing something that's going to be fighting fire with fire? If they're harvesting, let's us harvest. Are we doing anything to harvest votes in the same way that they are? In the places where it's illegal, I do not condone illegal behavior, but let's do something where we get in front of them so this way they see that we're watching and we can prove it. I don't hear anything being said. Very limited. I will say this. If you go to truethevote.org, they have a whole pamphlet on actions that people like you and I can take to ensure that we're doing our part to stop any illegal activity. I'll give you a prime example. I just mentioned this on the DML podcast the other day. If you don't listen to the DML podcast, which right now is playing for you for free here on Facebook and on YouTube, I ask you please to go to teamdml.com, become a member, and you could watch this show in full every single day. Now, I just talked the other day about one of the things that True the Vote tells you could do. I recently moved from New York, and so did my kids and my wife. From a legal perspective, there is only one of us out of our 6 that cannot vote yet. It's my youngest daughter. She's only 16 years old. The other 5 of us can vote. Well, what they say is, look, the nefarious people, the bad actors, they look for people who they know have moved and are still on the voter rolls. And because there is no voter ID in New York, somebody can walk in, say they're Dennis Michael Lynch, if they knew where I lived. Nobody's going to ask them to confirm. They're just going to say, please sign your name here. They'll scribble my name and they could go vote in my name because I'm here in Florida and I'm registered to vote in Florida. So the one thing I can do and my family can do to ensure that we strip 5 votes from these people that may do ugly things is we make sure that with the state of New York, they have removed our names from the voter rolls. So that's an action you can take. Now, that may seem small, but it's not small. There are some times that districts and there are some times that states are won by a couple of thousand or a couple of hundred votes. Look what happened in Florida back with the hanging Chad. So do not think that your vote doesn't count. Do not think that you calling up and to get your name off a state that you were once in doesn't count. And I don't care if you moved 15 years ago. Go and take a look. Who knows? Maybe they've been using your name for the past 14 years. So that's an action you can take. Now, on the level of the good side, up on the high side, if I am a football coach, and I have been a winning football coach, in fact, I was a really good football coach. I took a 5-5 team. I made them 8-2, 9-1. I handed them back over because I couldn't coach anymore, and they went back to 5-5. So I like to believe that I have a really strong playbook. I have a good strategy. I understand the game and how it's played. I understand usually what my opponent is going to try to do, and I take measures to get in front of his plans and at the same time mask what my plans are. I will hope and pray that the GOP and the RNC has a fantastic plan in place and are coming up with all the things that we need to do to work against these harvesting plans and the server plans and the nefarious bad things that bad people want to do. And we're not saying anything about it because we don't want to tip our hat to what it is that we're doing. So this way, the other side cannot start to plan how it is that they can defeat our plans to stop them from cheating. So I don't know. I don't have enough insight, sir, to be able to tell you for certainty as to which lane the RNC and GOP are going down. I'm going to pray like the Dickens that they're taking the level of let's play quiet for as long as we possibly can so we don't give them enough time to know what our playbook is. That is a fantastic question, and I appreciate, Patrick, you asking me it. Lois True says, I'm angered that government employees, DAs, the DOJ, attorney generals, etc., are pursuing political cases, wasting our tax dollars, especially when there are real terrorist criminals out there. Oh, Lois, I agree with you wholeheartedly. One of the things we covered on the DML News app and on the Great American Newsletter is this report that came out of Bill Malugin at Fox News. So far this year, for the fiscal year, there are definitely known 80-plus individuals who crossed over the southern border and another one that crossed over the northern border into the United States, and these individuals were all on the terror watch list. Now, that's not to mention the gotaways and the people who go through other channels. I can tell you, if you've ever seen They Come to America 4, my 4th movie and the last installment in my They Come America series, of which, by the way, you could watch for free on Amazon Prime. If you go to Amazon and just search for They Come to America, The Cost of Politics, or you search for Dennis Michael Lynch, you'll find the film. And in the beginning of that film, the Border Patrol agent who basically takes us on a tour down in the Tijuana, San Diego area, explains that the worst of the worst people, the terrorists, the people who have been convicted of murder and deported many different times and don't want to get caught, will pay up to $100,000 to get guaranteed safe passage into the United States of America. So if you've got 80 people who were on a terror watch list, imagine how many got through that didn't go through the lazy man's way, or I don't have $100,000 to spend. They went through regular channels hoping that the Border Patrol wouldn't pick off that they were on a terror watch list. Well, lo and behold, we know of 80 plus people have done this. So Bill Melugin put in a Freedom of Information Act request to get the background of these people. So this way we could know where they actually came from. Are these people coming in from Yemen? Are these Chinese? Are these people from Iran, Iraq? Where are they from that they're on this terror watch list? The Biden administration denied that request, would not give the American people the information that we are entitled to know about who is coming into this country, why they're coming into this country, how they tried to come into this country, and where they come from, with the intent, obviously, to end life as we know it. That sort of thing right there. Is the FBI, is the DOJ, is the CIA overseas, are they working on this kind of stuff? Because every time I see a video or anytime I ever see a report on the internet, on Twitter, on wherever it is, I got FBI agents going up and knocking on the door of grandmas because they wrote, let's go Brandon on their social media account. Or because they went to 3 Trump campaign stops that really weren't close to their house. Or because they said something in defense of somebody who may have been at January 6th. They're going after people that aren't real threats. But there's a narrative that goes on that says that basically the number one existential threat to the United States of America, that's Joe Biden, is the white male. So right now, guys like me, because I'll say, God bless America, and I'll say, hey, you're a good patriot, because I use words that are patriotic, that because I believe in God and I believe in America and the rule of law, somehow, some way, my Trump votes have put me on a list. That's insane. Why is the FBI, why is the DOJ worried more about keeping Donald J. Trump from entering office instead of keeping terrorists and bad actors and God knows the drug cartels from coming in and poisoning over 100,000 people through fentanyl every year? I can't answer the question other than I know it needs to change. And I believe Donald J. Trump will make that change when he's in office. If he doesn't, he'd be a colossal failure. But I do believe that if we do win, and we will, that Donald J. Trump is going to learn his lesson and make sure that what they've done to him will not be done to another person ever again in at least our lifetime, if not our kids' lifetime, and maybe hopefully never again in America's lifetime. That's if we can save the country, and I know we will. We will manifest it, will we not? Sandy Restanio. Is there any way the Democrats can allow the illegals to vote? We don't see any Ukraine news, even though we sent them millions of our taxpayers' dollars. What happened to the Biden investigation? Well, there's a bunch of different questions there. So I'm only going to answer one in full, and the other two I'll just hit briefly. As far as what happened to the Biden investigation, well, look at this. We've been trying to look what just happened this week. I should say last week. When Joe Biden was interviewed by Special Investigator Mr. Hur, the recommendation from her was that even though Joe Biden had illegally stored classified documents in his garage next to the Corvette, that based on his interrogation of Mr. Biden, there was no way that he would be able to stand trial and be prosecuted for his illegalities because he is too old and too forgetful. And yet, the DOJ, the media, and the Democrats have no problem with this. Oh, okay, yeah, he's too old. You know what? He looks like he's pretty much on the first stages of dementia. And yet, the next breath is Joe Biden is fit and capable to be the president of the United States. He is prepared, and he's going to win against Donald J. Trump in a debate. and my golly, look how great of a president this guy is. You can't have it both ways. And that's the way they want it. And that's the way it's been going. So they're lying to us at every single turn. So the Republicans go in and say, you know what? We have the transcript of the interrogations between her and Biden. We want to get the audio. We want to get the audio files of the recordings here. And Joe Biden, through the White House, took his executive privilege and denied the House Republicans in getting those audio files, claiming that the Republicans would chop up the answers and make them falsified to make Joe Biden look more mentally unstable than we already know he is. And the crazy part is, the investigator said that Joe Biden can't remember things. So if he can't remember things, obviously those interviews were pretty pathetic. So these investigations into Joe Biden will go nowhere. The money that he and Hunter, took from foreign nations, they'll go nowhere. And the reason why these things go nowhere is because everybody in Washington, D.C. is afraid that they will be the next person who's going to be under investigation. And this is how I imagine it works. So if you are a congressman and you have a lot of beliefs in Joe Biden is corrupt, Barack Obama is corrupt, Hillary Clinton is corrupt, we're going to go get him. I get a sense that you are probably walking down a hallway by yourself at some point and somebody just pulls you over and says, hey, by the way, Congressman, how's that girlfriend of yours doing? I don't have a girlfriend, I'm married. How's the girlfriend doing? The one that you've been fooling around with for the last 10 years? I don't know what you're talking about. I've never cheated on my wife. You have no proof. Oh, we have proof. You have proof? Yeah, we have somebody who says that you have been. I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't exist. And the reason why you continue to deny it is because it didn't exist. But they make things up. And so what they do is they scare you into thinking twice. If I go after Joe, they're going to come after me. They're going to create fake stories about me. I've already seen this happen 10 times for people. Look what they're doing to Trump right now with Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. I'm not going to do anything. I'll just sit back here and keep on screaming and yelling on C-SPAN so I get good clips to put on Twitter and I could get reelected. But in terms of going after the real criminals, I can't do that because then they're going to go after me. Even though I didn't do anything, they're going to make me look like I'm a bad person. And this is why things don't work. This is why they don't work. As far as your other two questions, real quick, the Democrats are looking for the illegals to vote. Absolutely. Absolutely. We covered a report on this podcast that a NGO, a non-government organization, is actually handing pamphlets out at the border to illegal aliens saying, hey, make sure you vote for Joe Biden. What? Yeah, make sure you vote for Joe Biden. You see the documentation right there. So Joe Biden is trying to take every single last measure they possibly can. There have been many, many different actions taken by this administration to try to make it so this way it's very easy for these people to vote and very hard to track it. There is no other reason why you would allow that many people to come through the border. Don't tell me it's about cheap labor. It's not about cheap labor. We've passed that a long time ago. This is about trying to change the face of the nation. This is about trying to get illegal votes in. So this way the Democrat Party will forever be able to win elections and change the face of this country, as Barack Obama told us he would when he said, we are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. He got elected. He started that process. Only Trump got in the way of it. And look what they did to him. There's the answer to that. And that's why I say to you, when Trump wins, we have a lot of work to do. As far as Ukraine, I can't answer that question. I can only tell you that it's pretty pathetic that we did another report on the DML News app through True.News that shows that there is a unbelievably large amount of bars and restaurants opened in the places of Ukraine that we're supposed to be trying to help and defend. So it may not be so bad over there after all. Lori Sinclair writes, I know you want Ron DeSantis as vice president, but that is unlikely to happen. So who would your second pick be? And since Trump can't get reelected, do you think he will go in guns blazing and clean the swamp this time? Well, Lori, I think I answered some of your question already in some of the other questions about Trump and with blazing guns. I think Trump is the kind of guy that focuses a lot on settling scores. You screw him, he's going to screw you twice. However, the Department of Justice and the White House and district attorneys, through the money of George Soros, have done everything they possibly can to keep it so this way Donald J. Trump is confined. They've tried to strip him of all of his money. They've done a good job. They've tried to strip him of his ability to campaign and go out and raise money. They've done a good job. They've tried to strip him of his ability to speak freely on a daily basis, and it's been working. The man can only go out on campaign stops on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and he's still doing it. Think about the energy of that man. 7 days a week, he is going like mad, and he never looks like he's ready to fall over like Joe Biden. Now, with that in mind, Ron DeSantis would be a fantastic vice president, fantastic, because I like to see him be the next president of the United States. I agree with you. It is highly unlikely that would happen. There are some issues with the fact of the president and the vice president being from the same state, although there are many people who say you could work around that. Ultimately, he is going to have to pick somebody who you and I can confidently feel will carry out the America First principles. Not 50%, not 80%, but 100% of the way. So I don't know who that person is at this point, to be quite honest. I mean, there are a few names who, from a conservative standpoint, are very strong, not perfect, but very strong. Kristi Noem was one, although she seems to be imploding with her stupidity of writing that she killed her own dog for no reason in a book. The other person who comes to mind is, I like Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She is very familiar with Trump. She worked very well with Trump as the press secretary. Now, obviously, she's the governor of Arkansas. So she has a lot of experience with both the White House and now the executive level. And her father, don't forget, was also a very successful governor. So she's well-rounded. She's well-schooled. She is a female. She's a mother. She's checking a lot of good boxes. The one box that she checks that ain't so great when you talk to certain people is that she's got the same skin color as I do. And the fact that we're looking at that sort of thing these days when we're saying who we should have as a running mate is actually sad. Policy does not look at color. Leadership does not look at color. What it does is it looks at character. And so I think she would be a great person to consider. I also think that Mr. Youngkin out of Virginia, the governor there, he would be fantastic because Virginia is going to be a state we're going to want to carry. And, maybe in Ohio, although I don't think he has enough experience, J.D. Vance would bring Ohio. You cannot win the presidency without Ohio. It has never been done before, as far as I know. So usually when you're picking a VP, you want to pick it from a strategic standpoint where you know you're going to wind up getting either a demographic or you're going to want to get a state. In this case, although Arkansas isn't a state that we have to worry about getting, it's going to go red. We would be able to get a female demographic to support the fact that we have a female vice president in Sarah Huckabee Sanders. So that could possibly be somebody that Trump is taking a serious look at. I think a mistake would be to ask Tim Scott. I don't think he's a strong leader. I don't think he is electable come 4 years from now. He's just boring. He's dry. And I just don't see enough there. So nice guy, big smile. You got it. But we're looking more than for check boxing here. We're looking for a ferocious, steadfast leader who can't be knocked down. And that is that. Whether people agree with me or not, well, that's the beauty of America. But that's my 2 cents on that. Christy Michaels asks, how many ICE agents will we need to enforce E-Verify and deport the millions that Biden has let in? Oh, goodness gracious. Right now, the United States of America has a few thousand ICE agents. These ICE agents are spread very thin. They go around the country, and for the most part, they try to detain and deport the most hardened criminals. Quite often, those criminals hide in sanctuary cities, so you'll often hear about how it is that ICE goes to get a detainer and that somebody in L.A., the district attorney or the sheriff's department in L.A., will not abide by that. And what they do is they let, Jose from Guatemala, who has 5 rape charges, sneak out the back door, and ICE is left empty. We need more than just 20,000 ICE agents. We have what I believe to be the number is, give or take 5 million, 10 million either way, probably 50 million illegal aliens in this country. It has always been a number of debate. The media and the White Houses, they have tried to always sell, going back into the 1990s, that we had anywhere between 8 to 11 million illegal aliens in this country. I mean, come on, Joe Biden's taken in 10 just in 3 years. So I think when you look at the wave of immigration illegally that took place during George Bush, he was a freaking nightmare, especially in the beginning. Then Barack Obama had his surges. Obviously, Trump had his period where he had surges with the caravans, and now we're just a wide open border. So I think we have 50 million. When you're trying to deport 50 million people, you don't have any agency. Even if you combine them all together, that would be enough. So the first thing that has to happen, ICE or no ICE, is that the President of the United States has to make sure that we enforce the laws that are already on the books. That's what I would do if I were the President of the United States. I would take a look at every single law that I have in place, and I would start to enforce it. The biggest one I think you could do, instead of going after the illegal alien, him or herself, what you do is you go after the people who are Americans and who have something really to lose. And that is the person who has a business and who is hiring cheap labor and hiring labor illegally. You go after them, you fight fire with fire. The reason why you hire illegal aliens is usually out of greed. So you take their greed and you push it back on them. You want to hire illegal aliens? Fine. We're going to come into your business. We're going to raid it. We're going to take the illegal aliens and we're going to deport them. But then you, Mr. Business Owner, you are going to jail. You will not be able to operate a business again. There's no second chance. We gave you your warning at the day that I became president. I told you, you got yourself 30 days to get rid of those employees and to end up getting getting Americans in those areas. I understand you're going to be paying more money, but at the end of the day, that's it. If you can't build your business on American labor, then you shouldn't be in business. It's that simple. So some people would say, well, that would be unfair because let's take a hamburger store. I go in right now and I pay $5 for my hamburger. And if that hamburger joint has to hire American labor, I'm now going to pay $10 for my hamburger because they've got to put more money towards payroll and they are going to take that out on me. Fair, very fair equation. However, you're not doing all the math. The other side of the math is, well, then, yeah, you're going to pay an extra $5 for a hamburger. But you're going to pay thousands and hundreds less for other things that you are now getting crushed for because there's somebody cooking hamburgers at the local hamburger joint. What do I mean? There are school systems in this country that are primarily filled with illegal aliens. I'll give you an example. Before moving to Florida, I lived in East Hampton, New York, also known as the Hamptons. A lot of people think the Hamptons is just all the rich and famous. It's not the case. That happens in the summer. You get all the people from New York City. We call them cityites. They come out. They ruin the place for the summer. But by and large, the majority of the people who are there are small shop owners and business people, farmers, things of that nature. Well, because the rich people do come out, and because even when economies are bad, they still don't get hit in the pocket like the average American does. I mean, if you've got $100 million in the bank and you've got a $20 million estate, it doesn't matter if gasoline is $4 a gallon versus $2 a gallon. So what happens is that there's always work out there in the Hamptons. And as being a resident of that place for 12 years, when I first moved in, the population in our school district, if I remember correctly, I may be a couple of ticks off here, but was about 16 to 17% was Latino, and those Latinos were mostly non-English speaking. And that may be, somebody may, oh, that sounds racist. It doesn't sound racist. I'll tell you what. The migrant worker cannot afford to live in the Hamptons. It is just too expensive. So what winds up happening, all right, is they come out there, they get a bigger dollar amount than they would somewhere else because you're getting these rich people paying them. So they're getting $20 an hour, these folks. And you'll see 6 to 7 families living in one house. I filmed this. It was in my first film, They Come to America. I know it to be true. So what happened was 16 to 17%. Well, over the course of time, because so much work is out there. I have never seen a place like the Hamptons. You have about, I'd say 60 miles from Montauk, the end of Long Island, going all the way to a place called Quogue. That's really what makes up the Hamptons. You've got 50, 60 miles filled streets, 4, 5, 6, 7 streets back off, 10 streets off the ocean, filled with mansions. And I say mansions, I'm talking about homes that are $5 million and more. If you find a house that's less than $5 million, what's called south of the highway, between the beach and the highway where it runs through, go buy it. Save some money, because there's not a house that goes for sale for under $5 million. So what happens is that word goes out. The illegal aliens come into the Hamptons. And by the time that I left, 12 years later, our population in the school district right there was over 70% Latino, most of them non-English speaking. They inundated the schools, inundated them, to the point of where when my oldest son graduated, we didn't have enough people on the football team because we had so many people playing soccer. Our homecoming was a soccer game and not a football game. So, that being my commentary, I can't get rid of them with ICE agents. I need to get rid of them by cutting off the jobs. And if I cut off the jobs, they will self-deport. A lot of them will self-deport. And these people who are hiring them, I will crack down on them. I know where to find you. I know how to get you. I'm going to strip you of your business. And that's it. Think about how much money is being spent in that school district for all those kids. You get rid of those kids, and the price of your property tax for school tax is going to drop significantly. So if I can save you $2,500 a year on your school taxes alone, you still going to be willing to pay for that hamburger at $10? Of course you would. $5 if you bought a hamburger a week, $20 a month, $200 a year to save $2,500. Of course. Then, of course, what about how many people from these illegal alien populations go and use our hospitals as their primary care physician? They don't have insurance. They go, but they are guaranteed that they're going to be taken care of. You can't walk into an emergency room and be denied because you don't have the money to pay. So when the illegal alien goes in there for the cold or the flu or even breaking their leg or whatever it may be, and they don't pay the bill, how do you think that gets paid? It gets paid through you and your insurance premiums. Bump, 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 bump. They go up. So I could list you 10 different ways to Sunday on how it is that you are getting stripped. You're paying your taxes. Your taxes right now feel like they're going to Ukraine and to fund the illegal aliens. So when you take out these people from being here, your taxes should go down because the cost is far less. I mean, we know it's about $150 billion a year to support what's going on with the illegal activity here. And then we could put it back into our communities. And yeah, okay, I'll pay $10 for a hamburger because I'm going to wind up saving myself $10,000 to $15,000 a year because there's no more illegal alien population taking over my schools, my hospitals, taking the jobs away from Americans, la-di-da-di-da-di. So that's the answer. It's not a function of ICE, my friend. It is a function of the rule of law and just doing that. Lori Dreyer writes, we have Roku on our TV. I have searched high and low, and your app will not come up. Will we ever be able to put your app on Roku? Thank you for all you do. Well, there's an easier way to do it than that. I don't know why my app doesn't come up. I'll talk to my app guy. I don't know if we've ever done it that way, if we tried to do it, and if we haven't, maybe we can. But there's an easier way. I'll watch this show back on my big television. I watch all our shows back on the TV. Most phones and most laptops at this point, newer ones, have what's called mirroring. And so if you have a smart TV, you can mirror what you're watching on your phone or on your laptop. So just look for the mirroring. You change the input on your television, and then you go to the mirroring, mirror your device, and you could watch it right like that. And that's fantastic. This one comes in from Kim Diane. Kim Diane says, DML, I've seen you've lost an incredible amount of weight over the last couple of years. I'm so happy you are healthy again. I know you have your CBD. I went to DML CBD website. There's a lot of stuff there. I don't know what I need. Having trouble sleeping, having trouble losing weight. I have no energy, and I would like to boost anything I can with my immune system because I often find myself getting sick. God bless you and your family. Oh, it's a big question. All right. So yes, DMLCBD.com has two different types of CBD products. You have what's called topicals, where you put them on your skin, you put it on your face, and then you have ingestibles, where you're actually going to either take them from an oil or take it through a gummy. So let me divide this into two different things, and I'll go as quick as I possibly can. We know through various different studies, and we know through feedback from millions of people who use CBD in the United States and around the world, that there are a few principles that seem to be really working well for somebody who is on a normal routine of taking their CBD. And I'm talking about a daily routine. Number one, sleep patterns improve greatly. And I will say, right now I'm dealing with a very bad tooth. I had a surgery taken out, and I had a dry socket. It's been horrible. For 3 weeks, I have not been able to sleep. It doesn't matter what CBD I take. But if you take that out of the equation, I was always a guy who had the trains running in and out of his brain. And if I got 4 or 5 hours of sleep, it was lucky. Once I started taking my CBD, I wound up finding myself getting a good 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Weekends a little bit more than the weekdays because I wouldn't set my alarm, so I'd go the full 8 hours. That happened because of my CBD. I can't tell you how many different people have told me the same thing. So when your body is able to sleep, catch up on its 6 to 8 hours, the body repairs itself. The brain is giving itself a break. And this is incredibly important from everything I've learned, incredibly important for you to be able to have maximum health. If you are not sleeping correctly, you put yourself at risk for cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's. I mean, the heart starts having pressure, stroke. So you're driving your body into a very bad place with the sleep. That to me is number one concern. So CBD is a huge help with that. If you're going to go, DMLCBD.com/power, our power tincture. That's what I take. It's little drops you put under your tongue. It's nothing. You do it every single night before you go to bed like I do. Voila. It's an expensive thing. But if you want to go for the cheaper one of that, there is our Premier. So you just, same thing. Go to DMLCBD.com/buy, B-U-Y. All the products are there. And look for the Premier. Now, and I think that is DMLCBD.com/oil if you want to do it. We have other products like that, ingestibles that will help. We've got gummies. We've got soft gels. There's a bunch of stuff there you'll see when you go. They're the ingestibles. These ingestibles, for many people, will help with the sleep. It will also help with the aches and pains that you wind up getting in your muscles and in your joints. There are studies going on right now about how it is that CBD really does help people with neurological issues, neuropathy, and also arthritis. I hear a lot of people that say they had arthritis in their hands or their arms, and now all of a sudden it's a lot better. I have eliminated the aches and pains that I was having prior to having CBD. So huge on that. Anxiety, I don't really have much anxiety, but anxiety is another thing that it helps with hugely. And of course, boosting the immune system is a given. So in my case, what I do is I use 4 different products on the entire line. Number one, I take the power tincture. That helps me with the sleep. It helps boosting my immune system. It helps with the aches and pains. I then use the DML CBD Miracle Me Body Pain Relief Oil. Nobody else in the world has it except for me. I rub it on my body all the time. If you have a problem on your shoulder, I put it on my shoulder. If it's your back, your neck, or whatever. And what that does is it takes down the inflammation. And inflammation is what hurts. Inflammation is what kills. So that is a huge part of my daily routine. And then I use the DML CBD face serum. And I will say that it has helped my face get rid of some of the blemishes that were on there, some of the stuff with the age that you get. Also makes it a lot more smooth and hydrated. Women swear by this. My wife's one of those people that have all the different things. She buys everybody's stuff. Some woman, Karen, and this and that and all this stuff. She swears by the DML CBD face serum. So that's another one you want to take a look at. And then the last one I take, and I'll put my hands up. I don't know if you can see them through the camera or not. There's not a single callus on my hand. And yet I'm always grabbing ropes on my boat, and I do a lot of work around the house, whatever it may be. I've always had calluses, like the little calluses right at the top. I have none. And the reason why I have none is because they're gone because of using the DML CBD hand and foot cream. Same thing here in Florida. I mean, my feet, when I came here, I couldn't believe how dry they were. I rubbed that on my feet, smooth as silk. Those four products right there is my routine. You could have different combinations of it, but I really do suggest you give it a try. CBD is not like Tylenol or Advil where you pop it into your body and you're popping toxins into your body and you're getting a temporary relief where it works right away and then it fades out. CBD is something that builds up over the course of time. It's like a diet. If you just have a salad on a Monday, you ain't going to get skinnier by Tuesday. You got to keep it up and keep it up. And once you get into the routine and it becomes a part of your life, like brushing your teeth or combing your hair, you will see the difference, or I would be shocked. And that's that. All right, let's take one more question. I think we're up on an hour. Let's see. Yep, we are. We're going to do one more question here, and then we're going to finalize. Let's see. I lost my phone connection here. Last question here comes in from Diane Kiko. I think I said that right. My daughter has a bachelor's degree in digital media production. Can you help her get a job? No, I can't help her get a job, but I can help her strategize on how she could get herself a job. When I went to film school, I went for 5 months. I learned what I needed to learn in terms of having a camera, how to edit, and how to use microphones. I learned the technical aspects of things. What they don't teach you in school is if you're going to be somebody who is in front of the camera like I am now, how to engage with an audience and what it is that the audience wants from you. Those are two important things that if you understand it, you will succeed. If you don't, I don't care if you have a master's degree in digital media, you ain't going anywhere. The most important thing you can do if you are in front of the camera is you be yourself. I cannot tell you how many people try to enter the business and try to be something they are not. People aren't dumb. They'll pick up on it in 10 seconds flat and they'll never come back to you again. And it's funny because when I go back and look at my first appearances on Fox News, I was plastic. I was trying to be perfect in everything I said. I was trying to use every word that should be word grammatically correct, almost as if I was running myself through through some kind of program that was a grammar check. People don't talk like that. Just be you. Just be you. In fact, when I go back and I look at my success, I had Fox News, I had Newsmax, and then I had Facebook Lives and the Walk and Talk. And of the three, the most successful one was the one that I put no effort into, which was the Walk and Talk, because I was just myself. And I've always carried that lesson with me for the past 10, 15 years, or however long I've been doing it since then. So just be yourself. The other part is that people are starving for somebody they can trust. Starving. And in today's digital media, it's very hard to trust anybody. You've got AI. You've got creative editing. You've got not knowing what is real versus what is fake. So the one way that you can ensure that people will trust the information you're giving is that you admit when you don't know something, right? An AI system is never going to admit that they don't know anything. So you admit when you don't know something. And when you do know something and you know it to be true without any question, you deliver it with passion and belief that is unmatched. So when I look at my career, anybody who comes up to me and asks me about something with immigration or whatever it may be, if I give it that certain answer, they know it's coming from the heart and the brain. So anybody can read a document, but they want to be able to read your face. They want to be able to read your body language. They want to be able to tell if you're telling the truth and if you really do have conviction for what it is that you're reporting. You do those two things, you don't even need to have a degree. So that's my suggestion. If you are behind the camera, or if it's an app or a website, the tricky thing is, and this is harder than with a camera, is consistency. People want consistency. You show consistency and people will stick with you. The mistakes I've made over the course of time, because everybody makes mistakes, is sometimes I've been inconsistent. I put my show up at 10, then I put my show up at 2, and then I put my show up at 7. People are like, hey, you're driving me crazy. Pick a channel, pick a time, pick a direction. If you need to change it in the beginning once or twice for whatever reason, fine. Stick with it. Even if times get tough, stick with it. You know, the DML News app, I've had that now for 8 years. And it's always had the same tabs at the bottom. We've changed once in a while about how it is that we deliver the news or when we deliver the news, but it's always been consistent. And so that's what it is that people like. They like consistency, clean, trustworthy stuff. You do that, you're going to be good to go. Anybody will hire you. Anybody. And then, of course, just always show up on time. Ted Turner said something one time. He said, early to bed, early to rise, and advertise. I'd say it a little differently. I'd say early to bed, early to rise, exercise, and strategize. Always make the strategy, how am I going to win today? And the answer is, what do the people want from me? And when you can answer that question by saying they want the truth and they want me to be me, you will be a winner. That's it for me. Again, please, if you want to get the newsletter, go to greatagain.squarespace.com. If you want to download the DML News app and get the news all day long, go to the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, and just download the DML News app for free. You want to go to DML CBD, you could get there through the app, or obviously you go to dmlcbd.com. And last but not least, the way that we survive as a media business is teamdml.com. Team DML is a subscription-based service where you get to watch this show all the time from start to finish. I gave this one here today for free. You got it all day long. Usually it's my son and I and my other son, Ryan, doing the DML News podcast. We'll be back to that, God willing, tomorrow. And that's how that works. $2.50 a month. It's really nothing. It's a couple cents a day. That's the lowest entry we have. We have other ones on top of that. Somebody had asked me here about Kim, I think her name was, asked me about DML CBD. We give away free bottles of CBD. We give discounts on CBD to our members. So definitely give that a look. All right. You can get there through teamdml.com or through the DML News app by tab 5 Interact. Go to the top, it says Team DML Memberships. Click it. Before you know it, you're a member. Thousands of people in there. We've got live chat, do a lot of different stuff. So it's really good. Thank you for your questions, people on Facebook. Hope you enjoy your Monday here. Have a great day. And until the next time I see you, may God bless you and these United States. Have a great day.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.